Live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. This is Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. Coming up tonight, massacre in Savannah regional town of Chinchiri as police rescue the injured and retrieve the remains of 6 bodies scattered in all directions in latest tribal attack in Bali. We'll be live on the ground as death toll in the conflict hits 17, while family of 8 fleeing in rickety canoe drowned in the White Volta. Now, NPP reject fresh polls that put the NDC ahead in the Akwatia By-Election, insisting the so-called late surge does not reflect the reality on the ground. And Ghana's opioids crisis deepens with nearly 59% of tertiary students using opioids, while 12% are abusing cocaine and 11% heroin. We will have more from the Joy News National Dialogue here on the Joy News Prime. And later, Mufta Nabila will bring you Prime Sports. Remember, Joy News is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Stay with us. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Let's begin from the Savannah region because unidentified armed men have carried out a massacre in the Chinchiri community of the Bali district in the Savannah region, indiscriminately killing 6 people and injuring 2 others in the latest tribal attacks. This brings the death toll in the Sola, Tuna, Kalba and Bali district to 17, with the number of displaced persons continuing to rise. The conflict rages on despite appeals for calm and restraint. We'll bring you details of a police statement shortly, but first let's hear from the DC for Sola, Tuna, Kalba, Saka Sinkina, who revealed that 8 displaced persons fleeing the conflict drowned in a White Volta.
8 people were drowned. You know, if you look at the Bole, Bamboy, and Sola, Tuna, Kalba, we share boundary with the Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso to the western part of our district. And these inhabitants, some are more or less related to people in Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. So as a result of the conflict, most of them are migrating to Côte d'Ivoire. And they pass a lot of unapproved routes with some locally manufactured boats, or what they call the canoes. It was one of those incidents that some 2 families were trying to cross and they drowned. No rescues have been made. I'm told 8 people were on board the boat and they've all drowned.
And how about those who were killed?
Yes, those who were killed have been sent to a hospital at Kapinka. That is the southern part of Bole Bamboy district.
And how many are they?
I was told by the Bole MC there are 6.
So this brings the official death toll to 16, correct?
I believe more than 16. In my district here, Sola, Tuna, Kalba, we had 5 first, 2, that makes it 7, 3 from Bole, Bamboy, and now 11, roughly about 17. About 17 is my figure, official, 17.
Now we can take a look at that statement from the area on the particular issue, tribal attack within the police district. This is actually from the Ghana Police Service. On 28th of August 2025 at about 14 hours, police received information that some armed men had attacked the Chinchiri community near Mandari in the Bali district of the Savannah region. The Bali Divisional Commander, Superintendent Alex Ajevi, dispatched a team of 2 SPOs and 20 men, all of the National Formed Police Unit. On arrival at the village was almost deserted, and it took some time for the dispersed villagers to emerge from the bush to lead police around the villages and point out 2 injured persons and 6 dead bodies, all scattered at different directions within the villages. The 2 injured persons include Sansa Singpe, aged about 80 years, and Sansa Boni, 43 years, whilst the 6 dead bodies include Nyo Nyawile, aged about 70 years, and Nyuropo Nani Nuro, aged about 55 years, Sashira, aged 71 years, Nami Chekpo, aged 80 years, and Kobena Bogara, aged 29 years. The 2 injured persons were rushed to the Bali District Hospital for treatment, And the bodies of the 6 deceased have been conveyed and deposited at Damango Hospital morgue for preservation and autopsy. Well, my colleague Rebecca Natoma joins us live from the area for some update on this situation. What is the latest on the ground that you can report regarding this incident? Rebecca, kindly unmute so we can hear what you're saying. Well, we are trying to connect to our, correspondent in the region. Rebecca Natoma is trying to work the lines, and so we can get the very latest on the situation in this fresh attack, where we are learning that 6 persons have been killed and many others injured in the situation in that part of the country, Chinchiri, to be specific. And Rebecca has been on the ground and be following the police and would bring us up to speed with this latest twist of event with regards to the tribal conflict in Chinchiri. You will recall that this actual incident started from another community, which has, now escalated to the Chinchiri community, and the police and stakeholders are pushing for more to be done to bring peace to the area. And we understand some security forces have also been deployed there, and they've been doing their best. Unfortunately, the situation keeps escalating, and just this morning we are learning of the killing of 6 persons in the Chinchiri community. And as you can see, there are many of the residents, including children, have been displaced, and that's the situation on the ground. I will try to reconnect the lines to Rebecca to bring you the latest on the situation. Well, the Ghana Police Service has deployed over 5,000 personnel for the September 7 Akwatia By-Election. Director of Operations, DCOP Vance Baba Gariba, says the constituency has been divided into 9 zones to maintain peace and security throughout the polls. There's more in the following report.
The Ghana Police Service held a press conference at the Akwatia Police Station to outline their preparations for the September 2 by-election. Led by COP Dr. Vance Baba Gariba, Director General of Operations, the police disclosed that 5,500 personnel have been deployed to the Akwatia constituency.
And as part of this engagement, we have deployed 5,500 police personnel for this by-election. All the personnel have gone round to familiarize themselves with their polling stations and the electoral areas where they will be performing their duties. As part of this engagement, the police personnel will get themselves involved in community engagement.
COP Dr. Vance Baba Gariba urged Akwatia constituents to remain calm and ignore any intimidation due to the police presence.
The police has announced the deployment of what we call the Black Maria. The Black Maria is a specialized purpose vehicle that we are going to use to accommodate miscreants who intend to create any mayhem or cause confusion during the elections. So when you see the Black Maria around, don't be afraid, provided you are not going to cause any confusion or cause any violence during this electoral process.
Additionally, he cautioned the media against spreading fake news during the by-election and reminded journalists that only accredited media personnel would be allowed to cover the by-election.
I must also caution of misinformation and disinformation. It is very important that the media and those on social media, that if you are in doubt, the command center will be opened all through round during this electoral process. You may come here and cross-check with any information that you are not too sure of.
Still on election, the NPP is pushing back against fresh polls by Global InfoAnalytics that placed the NDC ahead in the Akwatia By-Election. The governing party says the findings are misleading, arguing that grassroots support remains firmly behind their candidate, Bernard Bedu. This comes amid suggestions that demands for development are reshaping voter sentiment and that sympathy vote alone may not decide the outcome. We'll hear from the NPP shortly, but first, to help us unpack the survey, what they mean for Akwatia and beyond, Dr. Eugene Kumiahin's senior research analyst, who would want to get some details on this particular issue. Take a listen.
Everything goes right. Asumedu, who is the NPP candidate, versus the Bedu, who is the NDC candidate, we have what we call the likely voters model. The likely voters model, we are putting all those involved in the sample size into consideration. If that is what happens, it means Asumedu is going to be down by 42%, and Bernard Bedu is going to have 47%, telling us that Bernard, who is the NDC candidate, is going to win the election at the end of the day. Now, when we come to what we call the committed voters model, that is those who are the diehard going to vote. Those, whether rain or shine, they are saying they are going to vote for both the NPP and the NDC. They are telling us that Bernard B. Bedu is going to have 53% of the total votes, and Solomon K. Asumedu is going to have 47%. Now, we looked at certain things, that is what we call the dynamics, which tells us who is going to win at the end of the day. If we look at Asumedu and Bedu, we can see that people are more interested in the Bedu guy than the Asumedu. One reason is because of development.
Okay.
What they were saying was they can see that the government in power is the NDC. So if they vote for Asumedu, who is the NPP guy, they are still going to lack development. But in case they go for Bedu, I think his father is the head of the nation. So when he goes for development, automatically it will be delivered.
Meanwhile, the NPP says the results from the poll are far from reality. Jeff Koneduado is the NPP Eastern Regional Chairman.
Well, I've read that, but I always say that these are opinion polls that done, and I don't agree to that. I disagree with that poll. Being on the ground for some time now here in the Constitution.
Well, let's take you back to our earlier story where we've been told that 6 persons have been killed in fresh attacks in Chinchire in the Savannah region. And my colleague Rebecca Natoma joins us on the line with more. Rebecca, you have been following this issue and you've had some interactions with the police. What can you tell us about the current situation as we speak?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Currently, as we speak, Sola is very calm. Bole district is also calm. Since last Sunday, there have been this tension in Sola district at Biniri. But unfortunately, the incident tended to be bloody in a sense that some people's lives were lost. And from there, the security have to take over Sola district. So as we speak now, the place is very quiet. Sola residents are in curfew. Same thing like the sister district, that is Bole, they are also in curfew. So as we speak now, securities have taken over these two districts. And yesterday, the police took over Tertiary community. And unfortunately, they saw some dead bodies, and they have to take those dead bodies to Damango District Government Hospital to deposit them, and 2 have been injured as well. the Savannah Regional Police PRO, Chief Inspector Grace Boateng, they have set a committee currently to come to Solar District to investigate the situation, especially the clashes at Biniri between Lobbies or Brayforce and Gonjes. And tomorrow, by the grace of God, the Gonja traditional area or the Gonja youth in the Savannah region are going to meet. And the Brayforce or Lobby Association to Council of Elders are saying they are appealing to the government. And they are also appealing to the overlord of the Gonja Kingdom, that is Yagora B. Kunikujo Tole the First, that they are appealing for peace. And they want to come back home because where they are now, they are sleeping on trees, even at the backs of the black voter. So they are appealing to the Gonja Kingdom. They are appealing to Bolera, Kunra, Kunara, and Kalbara, so that they could come back home and sit as brothers and sisters to settle the current situation that is happening in the district, Sola and Bole district.
Okay,
So
tell us quickly, have there been any arrests so far?
No, please. The first day when it started, we were told 4 people were arrested from Biniri just because the Biniri Chief Palace was burnt and other vehicles and foodstuffs belonging to the chief were all burnt. So 4 persons were arrested on the first day. But since then up to date, we've not heard of any arrest. But what the security is now doing in town is they don't want to see any person wearing a smock or this Muslim, popularly known as Jalabia, around. Right. You can also pick somebody on a motorbike. They don't want to see 2 people sitting on a motorbike at a time. This is what the security is doing in these 2 districts, Bole and Sola districts.
All right. Rebecca, thank you so much for those updates. Let's go on the lines now and speak to the Vice Chair of the Defense and Interior Committee, Peter Tobu. You were in this district earlier calling for calm and the need for the people to actually channel their fight against poverty and deprivation. Are you not worried now over this fresh escalation of these tribal attacks?
Hello?
Hello, Peter, if you can hear me.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time here. But I was asking you that you've been calling for peace. I mean, a few days ago, you were in the community and you've been calling for peace and for the people to channel their fight against poverty and deprivation. Now we are learning of fresh killings. 6 people have been killed, and the conflict appears to be escalating to other communities. How worried are you about the situation?
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to say good evening to your cherished viewers. And let me say good evening to Yagbonra, good evening to Bolera, good evening to all the chiefs that received me yesterday as I taught the district in search of peace. The truth of the matter is that this is a conflict that is very dangerous for northern Ghana. It is a conflict that can actually devastate the whole of the north. But what is happening is the villages are so far apart. You can deploy as many as possible security officers, but the rich will not be as rich as you have them in a city. So some of these packets of violence, as we are seeing, will still exist. But the prayer I have, because I understand the structure, understand tradition, the prayer I have that in the next 48 to 72 hours, Yagbonra will make a pronouncement and call for ceasefire. And if he does that, any person within the traditional area, any person within the Gonja Kingdom who respects the authority of Yagbonra, if he still carries a gun and finds himself messing up around, that person, even the kingdom itself, the system of the kingdom will deal with such a person. So I am praying that as we begin to understand the nuances of this conflict, and all of us are getting involved, the chiefs who are actually the owners of this particular land will come together to appreciate the fact that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama will not be willing to use money for development, diverting it into taking care of security. that will not be good enough for us for the next few years. So I am quite convinced that in the next few days, we'll have positive reaction from the chiefdom, very particularly from the king, giving instructions for ceasefire as we look into finding a lasting solution to this conflict.
Right. Beyond what the traditional authorities will be doing, just as you mentioned, what should be the strategy of the security apparatus? It appears that they are usually taken by surprise. Intelligence-wise, what should the security personnel be doing in order to curb the escalation of the conflict?
I would rather recommend that every citizen within that particular area should respect the rule of law, should respect the fact that we are under curfew. And if you're under curfew, you respect the curfew. And they should be open enough. If you see something, say something. If you think that something is very dangerous to the society in which, or the community in which you live, please just give a tip-off to the police, give a tip-off to the security, and they will react quickly to ensure that they protect lives and property. Because the area is wide. I have gone around, and there are some of the places, it will be very difficult for even security men to get access to such places, and very particularly in a place where it's difficult to get access because of the terrain. It's also difficult to get access because of lack of communication. The network connectivity is very bad. So it's actually a very difficult area. But with commitment from the very people who are living within those communities, if they are willing to release information to the relevant authority, the police, the military will always be there to react timely so that we can protect lives and property.
Finally, if this issue is not resolved immediately, what will it mean for the peace in the northern part of the country?
This issue is not resolved immediately. One, it will be an embarrassment to the kingdom of Gonjaland. Two, it will be an embarrassment to His Excellency the President because that is his backyard. And number three, every northerner from that part of the country will walk with our heads bowed in shame because we have the capacity to bring about the resolution of this conflict. We have the capacity to bring unity. We have the capacity to resolve this matter, and we can't fail. I can assure you, the interaction I've had with the chiefs yesterday as I taught the district from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I have so much hope and I have so much confidence in the leadership of the district, the traditional leadership, that we will soon nip this in the bud.
What will your committee do to ensure that peace is brought back to the area?
Our committee is excited that national security is very responsive in the matter. They've deployed enough and they are picking intelligence and formulating, temporary measures to ensure that lives are protected and we allow the peace process to roll so that we find a lasting solution. Gradually, we will be able to find out from the police, we'll be able to find out from the security agency, we're able to find out from the minister responsible for national security, minister responsible for Interior, who also has an additional responsibility for national security, the defense minister. We'll look at all those people who are having oversight responsibility of these ministries, and we invite them to give us a full briefing. If there are any ideas that we need to support them with, we will actually do that. But I'm so confident that we will not get far. This will not go far. In the next few days or weeks, we should find an end to this particular matter. I'm confident of that.
We are grateful to you, Peter Tobu, for speaking to us here on Join News Prime. Now to some other story, the incoming president of the Pan-African Psychology Union and former president of the Ghana Psychology Association, Dr. Ajiman Bedu Collins, is warning that poor parenting and lack of resources of wellness and counseling centers on university campuses are fueling a dangerous rise in drug abuse among tertiary students. His warning follows a government commission survey revealed by the Minister of Youth Development, George Opariado, indicating shocking numbers. 12% of tertiary students abuse cocaine, 11% use heroin, while 59% consume weed edibles. He revealed these numbers during the Joy News National Dialogue on opioid abuse. Before we listen to Dr. Collins Ajiman Bedu, here's a report from the dialogue.
Alarming figures from Ghana's tertiary institutions are shining a light on the country's deepening opioid crisis. Minister of Youth Development and Employment, George Opariado, says 59% of students are using opioids, with 12% abusing cocaine and 11% abusing heroin, warning that this is no longer just a government fight, but a national battle.
59% of our respondents in the tertiary institutions are on one, they call it weed edibles, 59%.
Weed edibles. 15, more than half of them.
More than half. And then the scary part is the shisha and hookah. And ordinary shisha should not have been here. But I understand now they mix some substance with the shisha and hookahs that are in our various drinking spots and bars. That is 49%.
From government to regulatory, law enforcement and health experts, the urgency of the crisis is being echoed. The Food and Drugs Authority says opioids have legitimate medical use, but stresses that diversion into abuse is the real danger.
Traditionally, in the clinical setting, when clinicians prescribe these opioids for you, it is given to you for a period, for a condition. No clinician, because of the psychoactive nature of the products, will put you on opioids on long-term basis.
For the police, weak laws make the fight even harder. Chief Superintendent Dr. Nuru Pinging says bailable possession frustrates enforcement.
We always say police is your friend. So in the management of these things, we don't want a situation where we come in hard and heavy. We have seen in the past that these have not necessarily helped because it just makes people go very much underground. So we have to take into consideration the human rights of people. So I wouldn't say the bail situation would significantly change what is happening. But definitely, as I said, the collaborative aspect would go a long way.
Health experts warn the dangers go far beyond policing. Dr. Eugene Dodoi of the Mental Health Authority explains that prolonged use of opioids alters the brain and abrupt withdrawal can even be deadly.
The mind is saying that if you take drugs of abuse, tomorrow it will demand more because what you took today will not give you the same high tomorrow. So with time, you need more. And when you start using it for a long time, that's what we call tolerance. When you start using it for a long time, you can't stop. When you stop, you fall sick. What we call withdrawal syndrome. And that for opioid can kill you.
For the Narcotics Control Authority, prevention must walk hand in hand with treatment. Kamal Dean Awudu insists schools researchers warn that Ghana missed a crucial window to act. Dr. Kwame Isiedu-Sapon says the crisis is worsening in mining areas with substances like Wunim Red spreading fast.
The irony is it is more used in the Galamsey centers, and I asked you to check with my friend and your colleague Rastus, and you got confirmation that that was what was happening.
From government campaign and regulatory vigilance to treatment and rehabilitation, the Joy News National Dialogue makes one thing clear. Ghana's opioid crisis demands a united response because behind the statistics are human lives. For Joy News, Seyram Abla de Souza.
Now, responding to these alarming numbers, Dr. Ajiman Bedu-Collins blamed poor parenting and under-resourced counseling and wellness centers on tertiary campuses.
Pushing them could be many. The foremost I can talk about is, yes, technology may be good. The use of internet may have its own advantages. But now more than ever, the students are very much exposed. And that in itself introduces some risk in terms of their behavior and in terms of some behavioral addictions. I must also say parents are no longer parenting. Parents in our time, majority of them have become providers of the needs and wants as far as the material needs and wants of their wards are concerned. And for me, is a big problem that we need to also address. That said, institutions do not have the right resources and then the number of professionals we need to be able to support the numbers that we have. I don't want to cite specific examples, but if you go to the wellness and counseling centers of tertiary institutions, it's deplorable. We don't have capacity, and I must say, government, who is supposed to retool these agencies, must take center stage. We must be intentional if it comes to molding the minds and behavior patterns of.
Well, President of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, Professor Mahmoud Akudugu, joins us via Zoom for more on this. Thank you for your time. Prof, how concerning is this particular revelation for you lecturers on university campuses?
Viewers, I think it's been a very great concern to us, and we've been talking about it all this while, and I'm happy that the government has commissioned some work into it. We would want to see the full report of what is contained in that work, that research work. But what I can say is that it's very alarming across the university campuses. And I'm afraid if care is not taken, we will be saddled with a very serious challenge of having a population that is very dependent on these substances. And that can only create so many problems for the country going forward. So something has to be done. Yeah.
Well, what steps should the universities themselves take in addressing this on their various campuses?
You know, already the universities are doing their best with counseling. We provide at least mentorship. Many of us lecturers as academic advisors, and also the junior member regulations are very clear. But the problem is that some of these people start using these drugs right from even junior high school through to senior high school. So they get into the university already with these habits. And it's a challenge. And for the universities, we'll continue to intensify our surveillance and continue to intensify our academic support and advisory services that we render to them. But we need to go beyond just providing advice to also creating opportunities for treatment. And that is what is lacking across many of the campuses. Many of the universities don't have their own hospital and all the rest of that. And some of these things are also not reported. And so it's something that we really have to do something drastic about it. Otherwise, we'll stand the risk of losing a whole generation to this menace.
All right. Prof, thank you so much for joining us here on Joy News Prime. You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Caloni. We'll take a short break. We have more stories when we return. Please stay. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. To some other story, counsel to embattle former National Signals Bureau boss, Governor Edu Boahene, lawyer Samuel Atachia has taken on the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Remsai, insisting that the AG failed to disclose over 80 pages of the Signals Bureau's account details in court. There has been public assertion that a key evidence in the trial of Edu Boahene has got missing at the Attorney General's department. But the Deputy AG, in a statement, refuted the claim, insisting all relevant documents have been filed in court. Here are excerpts of his statement.
The Deputy AG, Justice Remsai, in a post on his X account said the Attorney General's office has not lost any evidence regarding the ongoing Republic vs. Edu Boahene criminal trial. He then goes ahead to list the various documents they have filed on the matter as of June 18, which includes evidence of contract for sale, bank wire transfer records, bank account statements, company registration documents, property ownership records and purchase receipts, Interpol stolen vehicle records, a flowchart of the money movement through what he describes as a complex web of bank accounts, and testimonies of our 3 witnesses. All that of these documents have also been served on all the accused persons, and so it is not true that any of the documents have gone missing. The Deputy AG says before the legal vacation on July 31, the first 3 witnesses had been cross-examined by lawyers of the 3 of the 4 accused, which means that lawyer of the last accused is yet to do that cross-examination. But he is hopeful that they will return to continue when the legal vacation is over by the middle of October.
But reacting to the AG's response, the lawyer Tertiary refuted his position, insisting that there were at least 80 pages missing from the account details filed to the court.
Whether we are entitled, that is what the law says. It's a constitutional requirement. Article 19, fair trial. The fair trial requirement is that you shouldn't withhold information which should aid the innocence of the accused person.
Right.
Because the Attorney General is not a persecutor. An Attorney General is supposed to hold the scales of justice even. And when the evidence should inure to the benefit of the accused persons, the Attorney General is bound by law to divulge it to the court. And in fact, it is unprofessional for an Attorney General to withhold exculpatory evidence from the court.
I am quite curious to know, do you have any idea what exact document is alleged to have gone missing in this case?
Oh, in the first instance, the Attorney General withheld, about 83 pages of a bank statement that the Attorney General has filed before the court. So you could see a deficit of evidence by what the Attorney General filed before the court. So we call for the difference. Now, where is the rest of the pages relating to the bank statement you filed? And the judge blocked it. The judge didn't want them to bring it. This is where we are. As a fact, these are all facts if you have journalists following this story. And that's why we've appealed the decision of the judge, that the judge should not block evidence that the accused persons require to prepare their defense, and even use those pieces of evidence to cross-examine the witnesses who are being called.
Now, he also refuted claims that his client has been involved in an international car theft deal.
It's unfortunate, it doesn't aid justice, and it doesn't speak well of due process. For example, there is the latest importation of some evidence that, Adubuahin is in the international stolen vehicle enterprise. It's all bogus and unfortunate. It's a very vile propaganda which did not connect with the original case against him. And now it's come out that rather Adubuahin has been a victim of international fraud. Somebody has sold a vehicle to him, which is a stolen vehicle. And meanwhile, a duty was paid inland, Kutuka International Airport, by Adubuahin. So we've asked for the return of the duty. And the one who sold the vehicle to Adubuahin, we sued him in court, and we've surrendered the vehicle to Interpol.
Okay.
Now, the question that people are asking that, do you think under the mandate of Yoko, it should veer into matters which are of the CID Interpol? Now, Yoko is abandoning its remit and going into matters of stolen vehicles. Go and look at the remit of Yoko. There should be crimes against the state. Essentially so, the Supreme Court has pronounced upon it. And when Yoko wants to veer into private undertakings, then they are usurping the powers of the CID. It's unfortunate.
Let's now shift our attention to health, because health advocates are urging financial support to sustain immunization against life-threatening infectious diseases. The call was made at a workshop by Hope for Future Generation HFFG in partnership with the Global Health Advocacy Incubator GHAI and Gavi. Ghana's immunization drive currently relies on donor funding, which ends in 2028. HFFG project coordinator Savannah warned this could disrupt programs and urge government to build local vaccine production to cut donor dependence. GHAI country coordinator Stephen Astasige also pushed for sustainable financing in the 2026 national budget.
This year, the government has paid up all of its co-financing obligation, which is exciting. I think this is a very vast improvement compared to previous years. Previous years, government have made payments as well, but then we believe that this year has come more timely compared to, for instance, last year, where we paid almost towards the end of the year. This time around, government has been able to pay over, about $24.6 million as co-financing and traditional vaccines before even the end of the third quarter, which is very encouraging. However, to sustain this, we need to ensure that the government is prioritizing the budgets for immunization even in the coming year.
Now, a principal planner at the Finance Ministry, Kweku Saffomens, had assured innovative measures, including public-private partnerships, to close the funding gap were being explored.
Immunization is one of the very key areas that we can't overlook, and that is why the government is undertaking efforts to look at other alternative ways domestically that can fill in the gap for the funding in terms of vaccination. We are all aware of the recent rollout of USAID, and because of that, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, is still looking at other innovative ways, as I said, including private-public partnerships.